It started with a scream, a sound so raw and desperate it jolted Lila awake. Her heart pounded wildly against her ribs, and for a moment she wasn't sure if she was still dreaming or fully awake. The room was dark and silent except for the echo of that haunting noise lingering in her ears. She wiped the cold sweat from her forehead, her breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. The sheets were twisted around her like she had been struggling against something invisible. In her mind, the image burned vividly. A towering gorilla standing in a thick, misty jungle. Its dark eyes weren't filled with anger or threat, but something far more unsettling, an intense sadness, almost as if it was silently begging for help. The creature raised its massive hand slowly, as if reaching out to her through the veil of fog. The feeling that overwhelmed Lila wasn't fear, but a strange, aching connection she couldn't explain. She tried to shake the memory, telling herself it was just a nightmare, a trick of her imagination. She reached for a glass of water and sipped slowly, but her gaze kept flickering back toward the shadows in the corner of her room, as if expecting to see the gorilla lurking there, waiting. The next morning, sitting quietly at the breakfast table, she picked at her cereal, lost in thought. Her mother glanced over with concern. "Did you have a rough night?" her mom asked gently. Lila forced a small smile and nodded. "Just a weird dream," she said, though she knew it was more than that. She didn't tell her mother about the gorilla's sad eyes, the way the mist curled around it like a ghost, or how it seemed to call to her in silence. Later, at school, while doodling in her notebook, she suddenly realized what she was drawing. The thick, powerful brows, the long scar over the gorilla's right eye, the broad chest, all details she had never seen before, but now sketched perfectly from memory. It was the same gorilla from her dreams. Her heart raced as she stared at the drawing, overwhelmed by a deep sense of familiarity she couldn't understand. That night, as she lay in bed again, the image haunted her thoughts. She told herself it was a one-time thing, a strange dream with no meaning. But deep inside, something had shifted. Something was waking up inside her, and it wasn't finished yet. The nights that followed were no better. Every time Lila closed her eyes, the same gorilla appeared. But now, the scenes in her dreams grew darker. Sometimes the gorilla was trapped behind thick metal bars, pacing restlessly in a cage that felt too small for its massive body. Other times, it was injured, its powerful chest heaving as it struggled to breathe, eyes filled with pain and fear. Lila's heart ached for the creature she saw night after night. It wasn't just an animal. It felt like a soul reaching out to her, trying to tell her something important. She started to sketch the gorilla more obsessively. Each drawing revealed new details, scars, expressions, even the way the light hit its fur. It was as if the gorilla was guiding her hand, and the images became more lifelike with every sketch. Her friends teased her lightly, saying it was just stress, or maybe she was watching too many wildlife videos. But Lila couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to these dreams. She tried talking to her mother, but the worried look in her eyes made Lila stop herself. Maybe it was better to keep it all inside. One afternoon, she finally confided in a school counselor. "I keep dreaming about this gorilla," she said quietly. "It's like it's trapped or hurt, and it feels like it wants me to do something." The counselor nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes our minds use dreams to process emotions or memories we don't fully understand. Maybe it's your way of coping with something you're feeling deep down. But Lila wasn't convinced. She felt a strange pull toward the gorilla, like it was trying to break through the barrier between dreams and reality. That pull grew stronger each night, making it harder to sleep, harder to ignore. The gorilla wasn't just a figure in her dreams anymore. It was becoming a part of her waking world, demanding her attention in a way she couldn't escape. Unable to ignore the strange connection any longer, Lila began to search for answers. She spent hours online, reading everything she could about gorillas, their habits, their habitats, and their struggles to survive in the wild. The more she learned, the more familiar the details felt. It was as if the gorilla in her dreams belonged to a world she somehow already knew. One evening, while scrolling through old wildlife documentaries, Lila stumbled across a film about a gorilla sanctuary deep in Africa. Her breath caught when she saw it. The same scar above the gorilla's right eye, the powerful stance, the gentle eyes. It was the gorilla from her dreams, the one she had been seeing every night. The documentary told a heartbreaking story. The sanctuary had been caught in the middle of a violent conflict years ago. Many animals were lost, and one gorilla named Bakari had vanished without a trace. The people who cared for him never stopped hoping he was alive somewhere, but no one had seen him since. Lila's fingers trembled as she paused the video, staring at the image frozen on the screen. The more she read about Bakari, the more convinced she became that this was the gorilla reaching out to her in her dreams. It wasn't just a coincidence, it was a message. She found old news articles, rescue reports, even photos, each one deepening the mystery. How could she be connected to a gorilla halfway around the world? Questions flooded her mind, but there were no easy answers. All she knew was that Bakari's story had become a part of hers, and she had to find out why. Determined, Lila started writing down everything: the dreams, the drawings, the information she'd gathered. It was as if the pieces were slowly coming together, forming a puzzle she was destined to solve. And somewhere deep inside, she felt a quiet hope growing, a hope that one day she might see Bakari not just in her dreams, but in real life. When Lila's family planned a vacation to a wildlife reserve, she felt a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. She begged to visit the gorilla habitat, her mind racing with thoughts of Bakari, the gorilla from her dreams. The moment they arrived, something inside her seemed to awaken, a feeling she couldn't explain. One afternoon, while exploring a less-traveled path near the edge of the reserve, Lila stopped dead in her tracks. Through the thick trees and vines, she saw a large figure standing quietly in the distance. Her breath caught. It was the gorilla, the same one she had seen night after night. His powerful frame was unmistakable, and the scar above his right eye was clear even from afar. The gorilla's eyes locked with hers, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. There was no fear or aggression, only calm and recognition. Lila took a cautious step forward, whispering, "Bakari?" Her voice trembled with disbelief and hope. Suddenly, a ranger appeared, rushing toward her. "That gorilla has been missing for almost a decade," he said, astonished. "We thought he was gone for good." The ranger carefully approached Bakari, who remained surprisingly still, almost as if he knew Lila. Lila's heart pounded as she watched the reunion unfold silently between her and the creature who had haunted her dreams. She realized then that what she had felt all along wasn't just imagination, it was real. The bond she shared with Bakari stretched far beyond the boundaries of her dreams, into the waking world. In that moment, Lila understood that her journey was only just beginning. The dreams, the drawings, the research, it all led her here. And now, standing face to face with Bakari, she knew she couldn't turn away. After Bakari was safely taken to the sanctuary, Lila stayed by his side, watching as the veterinarians and wildlife experts cared for him. The tests confirmed what no one expected. Bakari was alive, and he was the very same gorilla from the old sanctuary that had disappeared years ago. The news spread quickly, capturing the hearts of many who had thought his story was over. As the days passed, more secrets began to surface. Through conversations with the sanctuary staff and careful digging into her own past, Lila discovered something that changed everything. She had been adopted. Her biological mother wasn't just anyone. She was a dedicated wildlife conservationist who had worked at that very sanctuary, protecting animals like Bakari. Lila learned that her mother had died in an accident around the same time Bakari vanished. It was as if their fates had been intertwined in ways she couldn't fully understand. The dreams, the deep connection, the haunting presence of the gorilla, they weren't random. They were a bridge between two souls linked by love, loss, and a shared history. The realization shook Lila to her core. She wasn't just seeing visions or imagining things. She was remembering something her mind had buried, a bond that went beyond words. Bakari wasn't just an animal in her dreams. He was a living part of her story, a reminder of where she came from. With this new understanding, Lila felt a mix of grief and hope. She knew that honoring her mother's legacy meant more than just remembering. It meant taking action. And with Bakari by her side, she was ready to embrace the path that had been waiting for her all along. Lila began visiting Bakari regularly at the sanctuary. Each time she saw him, a quiet calm settled between them, a connection that words could never explain. It was as if they understood each other on a deeper level, beyond the barriers of species and time. Bakari would watch her with those same soulful eyes from her dreams, and Lila felt a sense of peace she had never known before. Inspired by the bond they shared and the story of her mother, Lila decided to dedicate her life to wildlife rescue and conservation. She wanted to make sure that no other animals, like Bakari, would suffer alone or disappear without a trace. Her dreams, once haunting and confusing, had led her to a purpose greater than she ever imagined. As she worked toward that goal, Lila often thought back to those first nights filled with fear and uncertainty. What had started as a nightmare had become a journey of healing and hope. The gorilla that haunted her dreams was no longer just a shadow in the dark. It was a reminder of love, connection, and the strength found in unexpected places. Some dreams haunt us, others lead us home. And for Lila, this was just the beginning of a lifelong adventure, one where she would fight to protect the wild and keep the memory of her mother alive through every step she took.